Hey everybody, Texas Trucker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Lone Star Mopars.com. We are back messing around with our custom Ernst stuff. And there was technically a video that I have done after this, like a big project. And I don't know where that's going to fall in. I might wind up sticking this ahead of it. And I honestly don't remember kind of where we left off, since that was a while back. But what we are looking at, you think, hey, you know, what's the big deal? This looks like something Ernst would have on the shelf, you know, and, well, technically they sort of do. With green and orange, you can still currently only get 18-inch iterations, right? And this is not 18 inches. If we come in here, you're going to see it's a 13-inch rail, right? So what did we do? We basically lopped off 5 inches. Not super advanced, not super crazy. We used a 13-inch tray, which they make. And what we're gonna do, and I think we kind of recorded this, and dang, it looks so good. Like, it's just so much nicer to carry this around, even without a tray, than it is the spring steel clips or those like stupid, the more you carry socket sets around, like in some configuration, even if it's a nice like aluminum rail and they don't lock, you just grow to loathe it. It's not reassuring at all. But I think we had kind of left off here, and then I have the pegs. Let me just finally grab them. I've got all of them except like one. And I'd pre-labeled these. These have been like sitting back there on a table for a long time. And the issue is they will be going with this, which is a Koken 1/2-inch drive, 6-point deep socket set. Now the catch is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, which 14 is a big deal to me. 15, we skip 16. We, of course, have 17 and 19, which means 18 is missing. 16 and 18 are gone, not accounted for. And then, of course, no 20. We've got 21. We've got 22. And that's where we stop, right? So would 24 be nice? 27, 30, 32, sure, at some point. But what I'm trying to do, and what I kind of committed myself to doing, is basically in the cart, you know, while we might upgrade at some point, we're trying to, man, I tell you, I hit the record button and the text start rolling in. We essentially, if I can keep my train of thought here, I kind of want to keep it sort of basic, right? Like, this isn't where you come in and we go from, you know, 1/8 of an inch all the way up to, you know, 2.5-inch sockets that we're never going to use unless we take a street lamp down or something, right? And, I kind of just want to go with the basic stuff here. Realistically, like the MTS friction pegs, which you always hear me talk about because they're prototypes and I like them and I feel obligated to use them because they're cool and unique and they're the only ones. I typically would not go to one at like 15, 16, yes, especially again work-related stuff. But here at the house, like, I could very easily cut off 3/8, you know, somewhere around 3/4 even. You know, I think that's a fair deal. Kind of give up 13 16ths, 7/8, 15 16ths, but those trays have them, so I've kind of gone through 1-inch plus side-by-side SAE and metric. Those fit like a glove. And, the downside to this with a standard Ernst tray and this configuration, good lord, is that they don't fit like a glove, but they're literally like the gap here from fitting side by side. If we shaved the handles off, maybe even on just one of the trays, they would fit side by side. It's one of those things that's agonizingly close, and it really sucks. But we kind of did. I don't remember exactly. I can't imagine Koken having a set like this and this, because what we've done here, we have the 16 and the 18. And I assume I'll do that here too, because obviously they'll fit. Theoretically, if I were to take those out and shave down a socket boss, you know, like just 1 inch or 2 out of it, we could kind of make it fit side by side. But I kind of want to stick with this setup. I'm kind of torn on modding them or having like 1/4-inch and 1/2-inch drive SAE kind of side by side, if that would fit, which I think it would. But yeah, the long story short, if we can again kind of keep our thoughts intact here, while we could easily go overkill and have excessive sockets in there, I kind of just want to do the basics, right? So where this stops at 22 and this is stopping, I kind of built that out to, you know, 1 1/8 so I could use it on 3/4 stuff. Anything bigger, I'm like going to go to another tray, or we're going to go to the big box, right? That's going to be the bread and butter stuff. Also, keep in mind, we do have the impacts. That's kind of one of the main focal points of the cart, is the impact sockets. And those are where we're going to have significantly larger sizes, especially by way of the proto set. So that's kind of my logic here. Again, if this was like going in a huge, if we had like a 80-inch monstrosity of a box with like a 6-foot socket drawer at the top, right? I would easily go with 18-inch trays and whatever we could fit, and I would just keep adding on smaller or larger sizes as I could. With the cart, I kind of just want to stick to more of a basic thing here. So, I mean, realistically, like, we could even come in and like shave off and maybe start at half, but 3/8, 7/16, sometimes you need to break something off. So, anyway, that's the long and short of it there. So what we're going to do is take this guy. You can kind of see my black marks there, both sides. I've got it lined up. We've upgraded now. We've got access to a saw, like a good saw, not me going by hand or wandering around with something, a fixed position deal that we've dialed in, so we're going to utilize that. And then I've got this. This came from a 13-inch blue set that I've had forever. And we're going to go ahead and just let it be used here for these Kokens. And I got to say, man, every time I see that, like, as much as I like orange, and it looks great too, the chrome on this green is just fantastic. So we're still sticking with our color scheme here, you know, of our orange rails being SAE and the green being metric. It just works. It's something different. I like it. Works well with the box, in my opinion. But we're going to go ahead, shave that sucker down, get those pegs put on it, get these on here, get this spring steel rail out of here into another box where they're just accumulating and taking up like a third of a fairly large drawer, because I can't bring myself to throw them away. But yeah, we're going to do that and kind of see how this stuff looks. Maybe we cut this off. I don't know if it's going to be close. If I eliminated the 16 and the 18, like I said, we could just shave a little bit out and it would work well. But we'll see. We can always tweak it, always adjust it. But I'm going to shut up, get to work, and show you the end result. Alright, so like I said, big upgrade here, particularly for repeat cuts, which, spoiler alert, we might have some. That's why we set a stop. But basically, this is kind of one of the first really important cuts that I don't want screwed up. So, if we had a bird's eye top-down view here, we're a little bit on the long side here, right? So we want this cut down basically to right at 13, and I'm just a little past my marks. That way it's cut a little long. In the event that this thing is crooked or something else egregiously stupid. But with that said, I've just got a knee pod here, meaning I'm going to go ahead and focus on the cut, make sure everything's set up, and we'll take a look at the end result. Alright, so glad I did not film that, because that was embarrassing. Yeah, like I said, this is one of the first important cuts we've made. I've always been taught as close as you can get to the material, that's where you want your guide rollers when they adjust right. And well, you're kind of limited on this saw by the vise on one side, and then over here I made sure that we were clear of the vise and everything. This is a situation where this actually bottoms out on the deck of the saw, which, you tell me. So I mean, kind of theoretically about as far up as you could be is here, right? We could maybe come forward a little bit. I just said screw it and backed it out. But cut beautifully, and it looks like it's square. That's the main thing. Here's kind of your top-down view. And the big deal here, what's going to save me a ton of time, especially if I like the way this one was cut, obviously, before you go and make a series of group cuts, it would be wise, very wise, to check what you've actually done. So we're going to slide this up, and in theory, let's say that we just had like massive, like a 4-foot-long Ernst rail. You're on the knee pod, my apologies. But we would slide this up, and right here, you know, we'd kind of have a deal where we're lopping 5 inches off. So you would need the 18-inch rail every time here, the same length of material, or you'd want a 5-inch cut. Your variable length would be in the back, right? So think before you cut. But in theory, like what I'm possibly about to do, if we like this one, I got a couple other rails that are 18 inches that I want to lop 5 inches off, and that is 5 inches. So anyway, let's take a gander at this rail. Obviously, the weak side, the downside to this, we'll clean that up with a file, is simply it doesn't look pretty, right? It doesn't have like the routed beveled corner, and obviously this side's unique, but I have considered trying to get myself a router to replicate this. I think it'd be super cool to have the keyhole on both sides. It's totally unnecessary and wouldn't be functional unless we super mod a deal, but these thoughts cross my mind late at night. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. And if you note, if you look at my Sharpie lines there, and I told you that we were going to go right inside of them, and keep in mind that was just me freehanding the marks. I didn't actually use a ruler. It's right where we want it to be. So I'm going to clean this sucker up, get the pegs on, showcase it. We'll make sure we like the fitment, and then we might whip a couple more of these out in a future video. All right, so back at the bench, not much has changed until we dramatically pendulum that guy into place. So you'll note sockets aren't on, but you'll also probably see a little extra space there. 16 and 18 unaccounted for our deep set at this point in time. However, what I'm going to do now is populate this sucker, get them spaced, and keep in mind, you do not have to use the socket boss tray if you don't want to. You can do all kinds of things. But what I'm going to do is get it set up, we'll showcase it, and dadgum, that just looks so good. Keep in mind, if you can fit those side by side, it's just like perfection. But I'll go ahead and get these guys off this spring steel rail, and we will showcase our end result. Always so satisfying knowing you'll never have to use those spring steel rails again. That said, the Koken ones are good quality. Some of those totally suck, but it's just stupid annoying getting the sockets off of there. That said, here we are. We've got them laid out here. Shallows in the front, deeps in the back. Again, not quite set up the same because we're missing the 16 to 18. But let's come in here. We got our socket boss tray. We're going to set this down. Super easy to do. Even with our crazy modified stuff, it's that easy. As you can see, I kind of max it out as much as I can against the end of the rail. And if you think, hey, you know, you could shave that a little bit off, well, here's the deal. To eject the rail and get it out, you've got to have this knob in the keyway, and that's basically lock to lock there. So we've maxed it out as best we can. This one, again, cut just a shade under that one, obviously, but check that out. Tell me that does not just look epic. There's something about the Koken finish in that green is just really, really nice. I'm sure the Stavillas, I'm not sure like a super chrome would look as good as this. This is kind of like a mid-tier, if you will, in terms of the chrome, the radiance or luster of it, but man, that looks so good. Everything's labeled, everything's easy to see. Again, one of the real highlights with Ernst, many organizers that come pre-labeled, whether it's Hansen style or the MTS friction peg. It's got that 16 and the 18. It might have a 20 and a 23 too. And if you're never going to use those, you kind of have that void that you can't really do anything with, right? And you could scoot everything in, but then you've got 3 or 4 sockets at the end that are totally mislabeled. This, the modularity of it, the user, the end adjustments, if you don't want to label anything, you don't have to. If you want to, you can. It's just got a lot going for it. So the real payoff here, again, you'd need a drawer that can handle it. But if you could just go side by side, let me kind of kick this guy up and off the mat. And I'll put that one side by side. In a perfect world, you'd get to retain your handles. Should have been looking through the camera when I did that, I suppose. So it's sitting a little funky, both of them, because they're going up in a V formation, but you get the idea. You get the gist of it. Again, button them up closer together. Super, super nice. So, is this the whole video here? Maybe it is. I mean, look, I can just carelessly and recklessly grab this stuff by one socket. Nothing happens. It's just awesome. So the green in the back sometimes looks better because it's a brighter, color. The orange doesn't stand out as much. So you get the idea. It's a good little setup that we've got here. But that's all we did. And what I can do now, I might kick that out just a tad for some more cut downs to 13 inches. What on earth are we doing with those? Well, you just have to stick around and find out in the next installment of the full custom Ernst series. So, before we go, if this is the end, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one. Again, very, very stupid simple. I'm not sure you actually got to see this ever finished out, and that was kind of something. This was our first project, but I don't think we showed it. People voted they wanted to see the introduction and the first project, so we did that. But I don't know that I ever like showcased the finished result here. This thing has been in use for quite a while now. It's awesome. I love it. And again, it's basically box stock Koken plus little custom size selections by yours truly. Fills out the 13-inch quite nicely. And again, if you want to chop these things up, this is a great place to start if you like the orange and the green. Now, if you want blue, high vis, black, or red, you don't have to do anything. They already make the 13-inch rails. But orange and green here, simple. You just hack it off. Again, I'm prior to this using a little pilot saw from Milwaukee. But yeah, super happy with these. It just looks so good. And again, using the handles properly and not just some random socket that you grab. Amazing. Turn it sideways, turn it upside down. Again, these have been modified by us. It's just a really robust system. Sadly, that green one, got to take everything out. There's some like adhesive, and I can't live with myself if I leave it on the back. So anyway, that's where we stand. Let me know your thoughts on this stuff. I might stick something else on here. We might keep this one short and have the next episode start with our little cutoffs that we left off. But yeah, LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all three at LoneStarMopars.com. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on all this stuff. Are we crazy? Are we brilliant geniuses? Whatever it may be, feel free to let your thoughts be known. So, if you want Ernst to make 13-inch and 8-inch and magnetic orange and green, also feel free to leave those comments. But for now, hey, you know, this stuff, and the way things go for me, maybe that'll like come out, you know, around the time this video does or something. But at this point in time, they don't exist, and I think they should. So we're kind of making them exist, if you will. So anyway, if you like a lot of the crazy stuff we do here, be sure to subscribe, ring that bell. YouTube should notify you if you jump your charger across the creek. We put out new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. But with that said, I got some more work to do, and I hope I catch you back here for more action from the shop.